Hello everyone, welcome to the class. This is the second part of class 6th. That is the sixth lecture of in this particular batch. ये part 2 है because in part 1 we studied the revolt of 1857. We studied the Act of Good Government of India 1858. Now this is the next part in which we are going to study the Indian Councils Act and the other Government of India Acts. Why this class is important? Because in this class we are going to notice how British government is trying to administrate India, how they are trying to take over India's administration and all the other aspects of India's administration, involving the Indian people, taking the help of Indian people. They are trying to now control us. मतलब हमारी ही लोगों की हेल्प लेकर हमें कंट्रोल करने की कोशिश ब्रिटिशर सब करना स्टार्ट करेंगे. एंड वी सी द इंडियन काउंसिल्स एक्ट. There were two Indian Councils Act which were passed, one in 1861, another one in 1892. 1861 वाला एक्ट was passed on 1st of August 1861. ये 1st August 1861 को पास किया गया था to transform India's executive council. तो इंडिया के एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल को ट्रांसफॉर्म करने के लिए आप देखेंगे इस एक्ट को पास किया गया. Why they were transforming India's executive council? क्यों कर रहे थे ट्रांसफॉर्म इंडिया के एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल को? बिकॉज इट इज द एग्जीक्यूटिव विच इज मेजरली रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑन द ग्राउंड, राइट? यू ऑल्सो आर गोइंग टू बी द पार्ट ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, द एग्जीक्यूटिव ओनली. आप यूपीएससी क्लियर करके एग्जीक्यूटिव का ही तो पार्ट बनोगे, राइट? सो हियर दे वर टारगेटिंग एग्जीक्यूटिव काउंसिल टू फंक्शन एज अ कैबिनेट रन ऑन द पोर्टफोलियो सिस्टम. सो दे वर ट्राइंग टू कॉपी द ब्रिटिश पार्लियामेंट and trying, in India they were creating portfolio system, trying to give post and positions to the ministers and members in India. And the particular Indian Council Act of 1861 was introduced. Why? Because British government wanted to involve Indian people with the process of law making. ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट चाहती थी कि इंडियन लोग अब आगे जाके रिवोल्ट ना करे. दे डिड नॉट वांट इंडियंस टू रिवोल्ट फर्दर. That is why they were keeping them in the illusion that we are also making you participate in the law making procedure. But in reality, the Indian people who were the member of the government, they were not given any actual power or any actual position. इनको कोई एक्चुअल पोजीशन या पावर नहीं दी गई थी. बस एक भ्रम में रखा गया था कि आप भी गवर्नमेंट में कैबिनेट में बैठ रहे हो, आपको भी पोर्टफोलियोज हम दे रहे हैं संभालने के लिए, बट उनका एक्चुअल से नहीं होता था. सो दे वर ट्राइंग टू कीप इंडियन पीपल, मेक देम सिट इन द गवर्नमेंट बट नॉट गिव देम एनी एक्चुअल और रियल पावर, राइट? जस्ट गिव देम दिस इल्यूजन कि दे आर ऑल्सो बीइंग गिवन इंपॉर्टेंस बाय द ब्रिटिशर्स. यहां तक पॉइंट क्लियर हो गया? दिस इज व्हाई दिस पर्टिकुलर एक्ट वाज पास्ड. Now, let us understand the main provisions of the Indian Council Act 1861. For that, यहाँ पर हम एक अलग से चार्ट बनाएंगे, ठीक है? तो यहाँ पर हम लिखेंगे main provisions. We'll write over here main provisions, ठीक है? Now let us understand what the main provisions were. अब सबसे पहले ये समझ लेते हैं कि भैया main provisions इसके एक्ट के क्या थे. तो मैं इस तरीके से एक लाइन बना लेती हूँ. And you can also draw this kind of figure so that it would be easy for you to revise later on. तो यहाँ पर first provision was, it made a beginning of representative institutions by associating Indians with lawmaking. So again, it was an illusionary step taken by the Britishers, an illusion created for Indians. It made beginning of representative institutions. They were trying to tell Indians, see, we are also giving you the representation in the government, in the lawmaking procedure. Now your rights are not going to be insulted or disrespected by anyone. We are trying to respect and take care of your rights also. हम तो आपके rights का भी respect करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर, right? So this was a kind of illusion that they were putting Indians in. Okay. Coming on to the next important provision of this particular step, or this particular act. So here you will write that the Viceroy, he nominated some Indians as non-official members of his expanded council. So in the last lecture in the Government of India Act, we studied that the council was given, 15-member council was given to the Viceroy. He was a direct representative of British Crown, right? So here Viceroy, what he did, he created the position of non-official Indian members also, right? In his to be a part of his council. So they were non-official. So obviously again another illusion is being created by the Viceroy. अब भी वाइसरॉय अपने काउंसिल में नॉन ऑफिशियल इंडियन मेंबर्स को ऐड कर रहा है, तो एक तरीके से वो ये दिखाने की कोशिश कर रहा है कि इतनी बड़ी पोजीशन वाइसरॉय की और वो भी इंडियंस की हेल्प ले रहे हैं एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में, तो ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट तो इंडियंस की दोस्त हुई ना. So they were trying to create this illusion again that such a big position of viceroy and still he is taking the help of Indians, making them non-official members and a part of his council. So again, this was another illusion from the side of Britishers to make sure कि Indians they don't feel left out in order to avoid any kind of future revolt. Now here I will create another line subcategory here. Here you will write that the first viceroy, that is the Lord Canning, he nominated Raja of Banaras. He nominated Raja of Banaras. यहाँ पर लिख दीजिए Raja of Banaras. Then you will write Maharaja of Patiala and Sir Dinkar Rao. These three people were nominated by Lord Canning to be a part of his expanded council as non-official members. And all of these three, you can see that they were, highly educated, highly rich people. And they were made a part of the council. And we know that in the revolt of 1857, the rich people, the rich Indians, the rich merchants, they supported Britishers to, suppress the revolt. So again, the middle class people were, some of the middle class people, they were supporting Britishers during the revolt of 1857. If they really wanted Indians to feel that they are being respected by the Britishers, then they should have made some of the peasants, some of the, sepoys, some of those members who actually were not happy with the Britishers as a part of their council. अगर वो सीरियसली इंडियंस के बारे में सोचते तो ये अमीर जमीर लोगों को नहीं बनाते मेंबर अपने काउंसिल का, उन लोगों को बनाते जो ब्रिटिश एट्रोसिटीज से परेशान थे, राइट? But again, the rich people were made the member of the councils. Now coming on to the next important provision, एक और important provision है जिसको हमें पढ़ना है, and that was restoration of the legislative making powers of Bombay and Madras. तो बॉम्बे और मद्रास की लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स को इन्होंने रिस्टोर किया. दे gave those powers back to Bombay and Madras. Earlier, because of the regulating act, the legislative powers of Bombay and Madras were snatched from them, right? वो बंगाल के गवर्नर जनरल को दे दी गई थी. They were given to Governor General of Bengal, but now they were restored and given back to Bombay and Madras. Coming on to the next important provision. अब next provision पर आते हैं. Now here the next provision is establishment of the new legislative councils. The new legislative councils for Bengal, because यहाँ पर Bengal had the legislative making power. North-Western फ्रंटियर प्रोविंस, NWFP, नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न फ्रंटियर प्रोविंस, जो आज के टाइम पे उत्तर प्रदेश है, एंड पंजाब. ठीक है, टुडे इज उत्तर प्रदेश, नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न फ्रंटियर प्रोविंस, बंगाल एंड पंजाब. दीज थ्री वर गिवन द न्यू लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल्स. कमिंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट प्रोविजन. अब नेक्स्ट प्रोविजन क्या है यहाँ पर? द नेक्स्ट प्रोविजन इज दैट दिस एक्ट गेव recognition to the portfolio system, of Lord Canning. Lord Canning devised this portfolio system that everybody would be given some portfolio. Somebody would be the education minister, somebody would be the finance minister, etc. And that is why the portfolio system came into account. Okay. So now another important provision of this particular act was, यहाँ पर ऐसे star बनाकर you can write that now the ordinances could be issued by viceroy without the concurrence of the council. Earlier we studied that the council had to give advice and aid the viceroy, but now ordinance could be issued by the viceroy also during the time of emergency. This is the step that you take, you read today in the chapter of president, right? तो ये तब भी था. So during an emergency के दौरान viceroy जो है कोई भी ऑर्डिनेंस इशू कर सकता है बिना काउंसिल की मदद से. And life of such ordinance would be just like today 6 months. 6 months ही रहेगी. ठीक है, यहां तक पॉइंट क्लियर हो गया सभी को? लाइफ ऑफ सच ऑर्डिनेंस वुड बी 6 months. So these were the main provisions of the Indian Council Act 1861. For the first time, the budget was also read and released in India. That was in 1860. That you have to remember for prelims. Okay. तो ये रहा आपका मेन प्रोविजन इंडियन काउंसिल्स एक्ट 1861 का. ये 1861 का प्रोविजन है. बट जस्ट लाइक द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट, दिस एक्ट ऑल्सो हैड सर्टेन ड्रॉबैक्स. इस एक्ट के भी कुछ ड्रॉबैक्स थे. तो क्या ड्रॉबैक था ये भी पढ़ लेते हैं. लेट अस स्टडी द ड्रॉबैक्स ऑफ दिस एक्ट ऑल्सो. तो यहाँ पर आप फ्लो चार्ट बनाना शुरू कर दीजिए. वी आर गोइंग टू मेक द ड्रॉबैक्स ऑफ द एक्ट. Okay, so what exactly were the drawbacks? First drawback, the biggest drawback was regarding the selection and role of additional members. Regarding the selection and role of additional members, the extra non-official members, how they were selected, what were their roles, nothing was discussed. Okay. Another important part, these additional members, these members did not take part in the discussions. Whatever discussions happened in the parliament, these members did not take part in those discussions. Their role was advisory only. इनका रोल सिर्फ एडवाइस देने का था. And again, to follow their advice was also not mandatory. So that is why I told you in the starting of the lecture, it was just an illusion created by Britishers that they are also giving Indians a say in the council. Okay. Next important drawback, the non-official members of the executive council were not interested in attending the meetings of the council. So what? Because obviously their role was nothing significant. इनका role significant था ही नहीं, important था ही नहीं, तो they were also not interested in attending the meeting of the council, right? And also under this act they were not bound to attend them either. ठीक है, इस act में, under this act, they were not bound to attend the meeting. Now you are understanding what the Britishers are doing. They were not bound to attend the meetings. तो मतलब एक्ट में भी ऐसा नहीं था कि आपको मीटिंग अटेंड करनी है. तो काउंसिल के मेंबर्स को भी पता था हमारा रोल तो कुछ है नहीं, नाम के मेंबर बन गए. वी आर द मेंबर्स फॉर ओनली द नेम सेक. सो दे आल्सो डिड नॉट अटेंड द मीटिंग, right? So this was another important, you can say, drawback of the act. And the Indian members, they were not eligible to oppose any bill. And the bills were basically, usually they were passed in one sitting only without any discussion. So bills are getting passed, no discussion is happening. Indian members cannot oppose the bill. They are not even coming to attend the meetings. What is happening? Just for the namesake, you are making Indian members as a part of your council, your cabinet. बस नाम के लिए आपने पोर्टफोलियो दे दिए हैं और क्या बना दिया है उनको, आप बोल सकते हो एक मेंबर बना दिया है, राइट? सो व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, व्हाट इज दिस? ओके, सो दिस इज जस्ट एन इंसल्ट टू द इंडियंस अगेन, बट दे वर ट्राइंग टू फॉर द नेम सेक गिव अस द पावर्स, जस्ट फॉर द नेम सेक. तो ये था ड्रॉबैक इस एक्ट का. Please, if you have written it down, very good. Let's move forward. And I guess now you have understood what the Britishers were actually doing. Okay? आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now we are going to study the Indian Councils Act 1892. Indian Councils Act 1892. What was it? Again, various amendments were created in Indian Council Act 1861. Okay, what were the amendments? Write it down. In this act, what were the amendments which were done? Amendments to the composition, amendments to the composition and to the function and composition of what? Of the legislative councils. Of the legislative councils in British India. In British India. So this particular act, what it did, it expanded the number of members, in the central and provincial councils. Provinces में जो councils थे और जो center में council था, वहां member of numbers को क्या किया गया? Expand कर दिया गया. ठीक है, नंबर ऑफ मेंबर्स को इसमें एक्सपैंड कर दिया गया. दिस वाज द इंडियन काउंसिल एक्ट 1892. सो फर्स्ट थिंग दैट इट डिड वाज, यहाँ पर जो पहली चीज की इस एक्ट ने, दैट वाज इट इंक्रीज्ड द नॉन ऑफिशियल मेंबर्स in the council, because people were protesting that only 3 non-official members have been, you can say, taken in. This is a very short number. India is such a huge country. आप सिर्फ 3 representatives को ही ले रहे हो इंडिया से. So what it did, it increased the non-official members in the council. For example, in Bombay, there were 8 non-official members. In Madras, there were now 20 non-official members. In Bengal, there were again 20 non-official members. In Northwestern Province, there were 15 non-official members. In Awadh, there were 15 non-official members. And in the Central Legislative Council, which was in Delhi, Central Legislative Council, minimum members were 10 and maximum members were 16. This is very important for your prelims examination. ये prelims के लिए काफी important है. नंबर आपको थोड़ा सा दिमाग में रखना. And also earlier in the 1861 Indian Councils Act, people were not allowed to vote now. They were not allowed to discuss also. But now in this particular act, the amended act of 1892, members, write it down, members, they could now debate the budget. They could now debate the budget without having the ability to vote. So again, they were not given to the ability to vote, but they could now debate on certain provisions of the budget if they found it wrong. Okay, they did not have the ability to vote on it, but they can now debate on certain provisions. Okay, and also they were barred. Also, they were stopped or they were barred from asking follow-up questions. So they were not even allowed to ask follow-up questions after the budget was discussed. They could debate, but again nobody would consider their discussion, nobody would consider their advice, and they cannot ask follow up questions also. Again limited power was given, limited नाम की power यहाँ पर दी गई थी. This was the second important provision of Indian Councils Act. यहाँ तक point I guess सबको समझ आ गया है. If point is clear and you have made this flowchart, please click a picture of the flowchart and please upload it on the Telegram channel right now. जल्दी से हमारा जो Telegram का ग्रुप है, इस flowchart की picture लो फटाफट से, मतलब picture लो in the sense whatever flowchart you have created in your register, take a picture of it and upload it on the channel. फटाफट जल्दी कर दो, जल्दी फटाफट से. I am waiting. Okay, Rishabh, do it जल्दी से. Take a picture of the flowchart that you had created and post it on our group. जल्दी से ग्रुप में पोस्ट करो. तब तक हम थर्ड प्रोविजन पढ़ते हैं. The third provision was that the Governor General in the council was given the authority. He was given the authority to set rules for member nomination. Subject to the approval of the Secretary of State for India. The Secretary of State for India. गवर्नर जनरल को एक अथॉरिटी दी गई, जो काउंसिल का गवर्नर जनरल था, कि आप मेंबर्स के नॉमिनेशन का रूल सेट कर सकते हो. बट उन रूल्स को, व्हाट मेंबर्स? इंडियन मेंबर्स, राइट? How the Indian members would be nominated, these official members would be, non-official members would be nominated. You can set the rules, but it would be subject to the approval of Secretary of State. If he approves, then only these rules will be passed. So again, higher authority was given to Secretary of State. And this act also made a limited and indirect provision, for the use of election in filing up non-official seats both in the central councils and provincial councils. तो एक लिमिटेड और इनडायरेक्ट प्रोविजन सेट किया गया फॉर द यूज ऑफ इलेक्शन एंड फिलिंग अप नॉन ऑफिशियल सीट्स, सेंट्रल काउंसिल में भी एंड प्रोविंशियल काउंसिल्स में भी. दैट मीन्स, see, nomination of these members would be again done with the on the condition ki if Secretary of State approves their nomination or not. And if you want to fill up the non-official member seats in the central council, provincial council, then there will be a limited provision for that. Election होंगे, but election का provision limited रहेगा. Limited means that in elections only the British officials can participate, etc. These kind of restrictions were made. Okay, इस तरीके के restrictions बनाए गए. So this was the Indian Councils Act 1892. Again, the drawback of this act is you are not giving the members the ability to ask questions when a budget is discussed. You cannot again stop them, right, from passing on the budget. You can just debate. This is a very limited power which is being given. And again, nomination authority is in the hands of Secretary of State. Again, this is very limited. Okay, ये भी काफी limited है. And even if you are increasing the number of members, you are giving them limited powers. Then what is the use of increasing the number of non-official members जब आप उनको power ही नहीं दे रहे हो? So these were the drawbacks of this particular act. I hope यहाँ तक सबको समझ आ गया हो अच्छे से. उम्मीद करती हूँ यहाँ तक आपको points अच्छे से clear हो गए हैं. If the points are clear, then let us move ahead. आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now we are going to study. अब हम पढ़ने वाले हैं the Morley-Minto reforms. The Morley-Minto reforms 1909. इसको इंडियन काउंसिल एक्ट 1909 भी बोलते हैं, but it is famous with the name the Morley-Minto reforms 1909. Let us study that. अब जल्दी से इस रिफॉर्म को भी अच्छे से पढ़ लेते हैं, because it is one of the historic acts passed by the British Parliament. So what are the features of this particular act? Let us understand the features first. सबसे पहले इसके features समझ लेते हैं. The first feature is, this is the first feature, that the legislative councils at center and provinces increased in size. तो जितने भी legislative councils थे provinces में और center के तरफ, उनके size बढ़ा दिए गए. Again, they are just increasing the size of the councils, but not the representation of Indians. Second, it introduced non-official majority at provincial level also. Abhi tak it was just at the center level. Now the non-official members will be there at the provincial level also. They also enlarged the deliberative functions of legislative councils at both center and provincial levels. Provincial और central level पर जितने भी deliberative functions थे, participatory functions थे members के, उनको भी enlarge कर दिया गया. And they provided for the first time, this is very important for prelims, पहली बार they provided for Indians to be associated with executive council directly, not unofficially. And SP Sinha became the law member in Viceroy's Executive Council. Abhi tak, in the Viceroy's Executive Council, only non-official members were selected and they were Indians. Now, they are including Indians in the official Executive Council. And SP Sinha became the first law member in Viceroy's, Indian first law member in Viceroy's Executive Council. Then there was a system of communal representation which was introduced for Muslims. Now what they are doing? They are for the first time here sowing the seed for partition in India. This was the act. Partition के बीज कौन से act ने sow किए थे? Which act sowed the seeds of partition in India? It was the Morley-Minto Reforms 1909. This act belied the expectations of self-governance that Congress had sought. No meaningful representations were given at the central legislature level to the Indians. Central legislative level पर Indians को कोई meaningful representation दिया ही नहीं गया. Separate representations were provided for presidencies, for zamindars, for universities, etc. But no meaningful representation was given. So here you can see this was the first step taken by the British government towards partitioning India. India को break करने का ये पहला step था जो कि British government ने लिया था. I hope यहाँ तक आपको टॉपिक क्लियर हो रहा है. उम्मीद कर रही हूँ कि यहाँ तक आपको जो टॉपिक है वो क्लियर हो रहा है. ठीक है, क्लियर हो गया सभी को? ऑल राइट, चलो अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. आई होप यू हैव ड्रॉन दिस पर्टिकुलर स्लाइड. आपने नोट डाउन कर लिया है इस स्लाइड को अच्छे से. इफ यू हैव नोटेड इट डाउन लेट मी नो. अगर नोट डाउन कर लिया हो तो मुझे एक बार बता दीजिएगा. ऑल राइट, अब आगे बढ़ते हैं. लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड, आगे बढ़ते हैं. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टडी द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1919. इसके बाद एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव कैपेसिटी पे ब्रिटिशर्स ने गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट 1919 आफ्टर 10 years इट वाज पास्ड. So let us study that. फटाफट से अब उस एक्ट को अच्छे से पढ़ लेते हैं. So the act is Government of India Act, Government of India Act 1919. This is the act that we are going to study now. अब ये act हम पढ़ने जा रहे हैं. Be very careful when you study this act because it is going to be a very important part of your mains exam. Because this act laid the foundation. This act laid the foundations for many features that we associate with Indian Constitution in the present times. आज के टाइम में ऐसे काफी फीचर्स हैं हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जो हमने इसी एक्ट से लिए हैं. दैट वी हैव टेकन फ्रॉम दिस एक्ट ओनली. सो लेट अस स्टडी व्हाट एग्जैक्टली दिस एक्ट इज ऑल अबाउट. इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर्स इसके पढ़ते हैं. बिफोर दैट लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट वाज द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ दिस एक्ट. उससे पहले ये समझते हैं इस एक्ट का ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या था. ठीक है, सो द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ दिस एक्ट वाज, राइट इट डाउन, it was gradual introduction of responsible government of responsible गवर्नमेंट इन इंडिया। भारत में एक जिम्मेदार गवर्नमेंट की स्टैब्लिशमेंट करने के टुवर्ड्स ये एक एक्ट था जो ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट का एक तरीके से इसमें एक स्टेप था। अगेन रिस्पॉन्सिबल गवर्नमेंट तो क्या है, दे व्हाट अबाउट द रिस्पॉन्सिबल गवर्नमेंट हियर, दे वर नॉट थिंकिंग अबाउट बीइंग ब्रिंगिंग रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इनटू इंडिया, दे वर जस्ट ट्राइंग टू make Indians live in an illusion that Britishers are thinking about us. Okay. This particular act now basically relaxed the control of center over the provinces. Now the provinces were, they were trying to make the provinces self-sufficient. So they were demarcating and separating the central and provincial subjects. In today's constitution, in India, today's Indian constitution, we see different kind of list: union list, central list, state list, right? That is in the same way, concurrent list, right? Union list ho gaya, state list ho gaya, concurrent list ho gaya. There are three kind of lists now. Wherein the subjects or the, for example, subjects like agriculture, water, sanitation, education, etc., they are demarcated, divided between union and center, right? Similar way, the Government of India Act also relaxed the control of center over the provinces by demarcating and separating the central subjects and the provincial subjects. And that is why we had two different kinds of list: transferred list and reserved list. Transferred lists were administered by the governor on advice of ministers which were responsible to the executive council. तो गवर्नर एडमिनिस्टर करता था ट्रांसफर्ड लिस्ट को, किसकी एडवाइस पर? काउंसिल के मेंबर्स की एडवाइस पर. रिजर्व लिस्ट अगेन गवर्नर यूज्ड टू एडमिनिस्टर इट, बट his own executive council was involved with the governor. He was not dependent on the advice of the council. Council की advice पर dependent नहीं था. ठीक है, point clear हो गया? Now, this particular act also brought bicameralism and direct elections. They were introduced for the first time in India. We in today's time see bicameralism. Bicameralism means two houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, right? Upper house and the lower house. Same way, bicameralism और direct elections को भी इंडिया में गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एक्ट के थ्रू इस्टेब्लिश किया गया था. And 3 out of the 6 members of Viceroy's council were to be Indian. तो Viceroy के council के जो 6 member थे, उनमें से 3 जो थे वो Indian होने mandatory थे. Plus separate electorates दिए गए. Anglo-Indian, European, Sikhs, Indian Christians को separate electorates. They can stand in elections through their separate seats. Okay, that was the meaning of separate electorates. ये मीनिंग था हमारे सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट का. आई होप यहां तक पॉइंट आपको सबको क्लियर है. उम्मीद करती हूँ पॉइंट्स आपके यहां तक आप लोगों को क्लियर है. इफ द पॉइंट्स आर क्लियर, प्लीज नोट देम डाउन. जल्दी से लिख लो, फटाफट से फ्लो चार्ट तैयार कर लो. दिस फ्लो चार्ट इज गोइंग टू हेल्प यू अ लॉट इन योर एग्जाम, बिफोर योर एग्जाम, ड्यूरिंग द रिवीजन के टाइम पर ना ये फ्लो चार्ट आपकी काफी हेल्प करने वाला है. इसलिए फटाफट से इस फ्लो चार्ट को आप क्रिएट कर लीजिए, बना लीजिए. ओके, चलो उम्मीद करती हूँ आपने कर लिया है, फ्लो चार्ट बना लिया है. ऑल राइट, चलो आगे बढ़ा जाए. ठीक है, लेट्स मूव फॉरवर्ड देन. Now, other important provisions of this act were that this act granted franchisee to a limited number of people on the basis of property, tax, or education. If anybody had to get franchisee from the British government, that would be given to very few people. That too on the basis of the tax that they were paying, the property that they had, and how educated they were. So again, यहाँ पर आप देखोगे कि even certain rights were based on the degree of the person, the wealth of the person. So they were favoring the wealthy people more. High Commissioner of India position was created, and some powers of the Secretary of State were transferred to the High Commissioner. More and more British positions are getting created, but nobody is understanding that they are trying to strengthen up their control, administrative control in India through these positions. Central Public Service Commission was established. Provincial budgets were separated from the central budget for the first time. यानी कि सेंटर का जो बजट बनेगा वो डिफरेंट होगा, जो डिफरेंट प्रोविंसेस का बजट होगा वो अपना डिफरेंट होगा. जस्ट लाइक यू सी इन टुडेज टाइम, स्टेट्स के बजट डिफरेंट होते हैं एंड सेंटर का एक बजट अपना निकलता है. And there was a statutory commission which was sent to India to analyze the impact of this act after 10 years. तो मतलब next 10 साल में इस act का क्या impact होगा. So they are planning on to stay in India for future also. right? That is why they are sending these commission, which was very famously known as Simon Commission, to India, just to make sure कि ये act का प्रभाव next आने वाले 10 सालों तक बना रहे, right? This was their purpose, यही तो इनका purpose था. समझ आ रही है बात? So you can say that the Simon Commissions, you know, when they came to India, they were giving major recommendations. What recommendations did this Simon Commission give? First recommendation was abolition of diarchy. ये जो दो हाउसेस बना रखे हैं राज्यसभा लोकसभा, you have to abolish it. Second, extension of responsible government in provinces also. At the center we have responsible government. Now they should be extended to the provinces also. Third, continuation of communal representation. हिंदू मुस्लिम सिख ईसाई सब डिफरेंट है, ये इन्होंने यहाँ पर बात हमारे दिमाग में स्टैब्लिश करने की कोशिश पूरी कर ली थी. एंड फोर्थ, establishment of Federation of British India and princely states. So they are also trying to divide India from its princely states. Okay, these were the recommendations of the Simon Commission, which was opposed in India. Simon Commission को oppose किया गया था. We protested. Simon, go back. Right? So these were the recommendations given by Simon Commission. No Indian member was a part of this commission. That is why we were protesting against this commission. How a bunch of few white people can take decisions for our nation for the next 10 years, right? This is why we were protesting against the Simon Commission. Now, in the next lecture, we would study about the Government of India Act 1935 and the Indian Independence Act of 1947. नेक्स्ट क्लासेस में हम ये दो एक्ट प्लस द इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट पढ़ने वाले हैं. आई होप टुडेज लेक्चर वाज फ्रूटफुल फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. उम्मीद करती हूँ आपको आज का लेक्चर समझ आया हो, अच्छा लगा हो. इफ यू रियली एंजॉयड दिस लेक्चर, डू लेट मी नो इन द कमेंट सेक्शन एंड ऑन द ग्रुप एज वेल.